All right, welcome into New York City. I'm Bill Reiter. This is Reiter's Block, and we got a great show planned for you. We'll dive into the NBA trade deadline, which passed a couple hours ago. Longtime point guard Aaron Brooks is going to be on the show, and Date Swipe is back. This time we apply its powers to the NFL. All that starts right now. All right, here we go. Winners and losers from a fairly busy NBA trade deadline day. But the biggest news is the news that did not go down. Anthony Davis, at least between now and July 1st, is going to be a member of the New Orleans Pelicans, even though he's told the world through his agent Rich Paul he doesn't want to be there. Winner, Pelicans. This is a smart move. We've said it all week here on the program. Wait until Danny Ainge and the Celtics can make you an offer. Officially could consummate that offer July 1st. And see if you can get a better deal. Don't be bullied by LeBron James and his ham-handed approach to trying to pull off the perfect collusion crime. Losers are the Lakers. You look like amateurs, Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka, Rich Paul, LeBron James. You publicly embarrassed the Pelicans. They wouldn't even return your phone calls. And now you don't have AD. It gives the Celtics plenty of time. And LeBron is surrounded by a bunch of guys who can't stand him and don't want him around. I love the Nikola Mirotic trade because we do have a Pelican forward going somewhere. Mirotic is going to the Bucks. Been injured a lot this year, but he can shoot the three. He's not afraid to put the rock up. Put him in Milwaukee, which has the best defensive efficiency rating in the NBA, and the fact that he has the shooting, that provides the shooting this team needs. You know Giannis can get to the rim whenever he wants to. I love the move. It is the move of the trade deadline, that three-way trade that took Mirotic to an actual, at least Eastern Conference contender. A contender outside of the Golden State Warriors. The other trade that sort of raised some eyebrows today, and we knew Marc Gasol was probably going to leave Memphis, even though he spent most of his life there, certainly his young adult life and his entire career, and he's going to the Raptors, which is interesting. The Raptors don't trade Kyle Lowry. Valanciunas is the guy that moves. I don't hate the deal per se, but you lose a lot of defense on this end of things. And Gasol, while still a pretty good player, he's a double-double guy, is not the MVP-style candidate he used to be. He's not a defensive anchor of any sort. I hope he can be the right presence in a locker room. Hasn't been true the last few years. Wasn't this year in Memphis. Wasn't when Fizdale was there. If he can be the leader and the veteran that they need him to be, I like it for the Raptors. The jury's still out. We told you this the other day, but I want to hit it. Don't love the Tobias Harris trade. I do love that it happened because you've got an arms race in the Eastern Conference, which is really cool. But as we talked about on the show, I think it was yesterday, they gave up too much for Jimmy Butler. They gave up way too much for Harris. Reed Forgrave pointed out that sources told him it's a backup to the Butler trade, which wasn't a good trade anyway. And so it's interesting. We'll see. At least they're trying to go for it. I guess you got to respect that. Harrison Barnes for Justin Jackson and Zach Randolph is another really interesting trade. Kings are the winners for me in a big way. I love that young group of guys. You bring in Barnes. They're going to do everything they can to pay him a whole bunch of money and keep him for the long term. Sacramento is one of those teams we're watching and that could be good in the years ahead. I don't love it for the Mavs. I don't understand it for the Mavs. I'm not a big fan of Justin Jackson. Zach Randolph hasn't played this year. He's not a part of their long-term plans. I mean, Luka Doncic is young and remarkable, and you got to put pieces around him. But they did draft Doncic, or at least trade for him, so I'm going to defer to them a little bit. It's interesting, right? Because Shumpert, who we'll get to in a little bit, is going to the Rockets, talked about, but before that trade, why this young Kings core that now includes Harrison Barnes is actually pretty interesting for NBA fans to keep a look at.
I think they got a better DNA than they once thought they had. I saw that just, coming from a team that's been up, coming from teams that I've been down on. I knew they had enough in that locker room from the jump. New guys come in, new energy flows in. You get those guys acclimated with what you got going on, and you keep pushing toward that goal.
All right, that's the on-paper situation. The real problem with the Barnes trade, Mavericks, is that you did it while he was playing in a game, playing in a basketball game for your team. The way you're supposed to do this, if you're thinking about trading the guy and making calls, is sit him down on trade deadline day. The awkwardness of being out there competing and be like, oh, I'm traded? Cool, sounds good. I guess, is that a Woj bomb? I guess I'm moving on. Life is really weird. And LeBron James, and good for LeBron, he's ham-fisted sometimes, but smooth others. He's talking, you're about to hear him talking about what happened with Harrison Barnes, but he's really talking about Anthony Davis.
You know, if a guy gets traded or if a guy gets waived or if a guy gets released or cut or whatever, then, you know, it's for the best of the franchise, which I agree. But at the same time, players have that ability to do as well. And if a player asks to be traded because he feel like it's for the better of his profession, for the better of his career, or if a player decides he's a free agent and he wants to leave, then that should be the same conversation. I see it from both sides. I see it from both angles, both franchise and players. But it's just a narrative that we would like to be able to be changed.
Let's play LeBron interpreter real quick here. LeBron doesn't give a you-know-what about Harrison Barnes. He doesn't. He's talking about Anthony Davis, and he's kind of full of it because for all the criticism of LeBron, there's plenty to go around. The guy always lived out his contract, always lived out his deal. A few other trades, these aren't sexy, but the three-team deal that brings Iman Shumpert to the Rockets is interesting. The Rockets are winners here. It's not enough defense to replace Mbah Moute and Trevor Ariza, but they do need some D. Shumpert can be that. Chris Paul, CP3, loved it. It's not a bad move. It's somewhat interesting. Markelle Fultz to the Magic is an afterthought because the #1 overall pick a few years ago has become an afterthought. You know it, I know it. He's a broken basketball player. Hopefully a fresh start in Orlando gives him the opportunity to reclaim the game that he used to be so talented at. And Kristaps Porzingis is old, but let's just say it again. The New York Knicks, I'm in New York, salary dumped Kristaps Porzingis. Really hope that Kevin Durant tirade last night is in part because he knows he's coming to New York City, Knicks fans, or James Dolan will have a lot of answering to do again. All right, that's my take, winners and losers. Let's talk to a guy who's been traded 2 times, who was the most improved player a decade ago, not quite a decade ago, longtime point guard around the association, Aaron Brooks, going to join me on the program here in just a minute. All right, welcome into Reiter's Block from New York City. I'm Bill Reiter. What's going on? Thanks for being here. We're going right now to an ultimate man cave, I'm told, to talk to Aaron Brooks, NBA point guard, most recently in Minnesota. Aaron, it's great to have you, man. I love where you're hanging out, dude. That looks amazing.
Man, I just been chilling up here in my man cave, catching up on some sports. And, man, you know, you guys decided to call, have this conversation, all the trades that's happening, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, speaking of trades, do you have a favorite pair of sneakers in there that you wouldn't trade for anything? Is there like a favored pair somewhere behind you?
Of course, probably the Oregon LeBrons. You know, I had to go with them. Got them my sophomore year. Those probably be my favorite. But, you know, any shoe, as long as they clean, in my favorite. I like Nike, so whatever.
It looks good. So you said it. It's trade deadline day. It has come and gone. We've got some news, not any blockbusters, but a lot of guys got that phone call or that conversation that they're going somewhere else. You've been traded not once but twice in your career. Can you give us some insight, firsthand perspective, what that's like when you find out you're moving, you're playing for somebody else?
You know, it's a experience, man, that unlike nothing else. You don't know what's going to happen. So, you know, you're looking at the update just like everybody else, you know, not knowing if it's going to go through or not. I remember one time I got traded after the deadline to Phoenix, and it's just something that, you know, you got to, you know, move your family and all that. But, you know, it's also a chance just for another opportunity to go out there and play and show what you can do. And I know some of these guys that have been sitting on the bench are excited for other opportunities too.
Is there like a rule? Is it like you can't break up with somebody by cell phone? Do you have to get called to a meeting, or is it just a text message? Hey, Aaron, congrats. We sent you somewhere else.
It could be a call. It could be Wojo. It could be anything. You know, it depends on who your agent is. But if you have a good one, they'll probably let you know before. But, you know, I had some guys get traded when they got off the plane, you know, back in the day, back in 2009, before social media was really popular. We had a flight. And I remember somebody got traded as soon as we got off the flight. So they didn't even know until we landed because we didn't have reception and Wi-Fi wasn't big back then. So it's kind of the new school and the old school of how you find out now.
All right, so the biggest news of the day is what did not happen. Anthony Davis, at least for the moment, not going to be a Laker. He's going to remain a Pelican. I know you're not in that locker room, but just in general terms, what is it like when everybody knows that a guy wants out, and we know that Anthony Davis wants out because his agent, Rich Paul, told us. What is that vibe like going forward, knowing that you're playing with someone who doesn't want to be there?
You just have to be professional. It's a business at the end of the day. Going into it, you got to go out there and play your balls off and play hard. And I think for the guys in that locker room, they're just looking at it as an opportunity for them to go out there and play. Of course, AD is a big piece to the team, and I know a couple guys stayed there to win championships with him there, so I know that's difficult. But at the end of the day, you have a job to do, and I know some of the guys are just like, yo, it's an opportunity for me since he's out. You can see Okafor's been playing great since AD's been out.
Yeah, we just opened the show with the fact that the brow's not moving, but Mirotic is going to the Bucks. They played great this year, offensively and defensively. They've been awesome with Budenholzer as the coach. What do you make of this move, sending Mirotic to Milwaukee?
I think it's huge for Milwaukee. They're pushing their chips in. They're showing that they're trying to win championship and build around Giannis. Giannis is one of my favorite superstars in the league because, he just plays well. He shares the ball. You see his stat line. He goes 11 for 15, and he'll have 30 points in the game. He shares the ball. And, Mirotic is one of them guys. He's just an unconscious shooter. Whether he's 3 for 19 or 3 for 4 or he's going to continue shooting when he's open, and that's what Milwaukee needs, man, because, Giannis can get to the cup anytime. They have those guys that's out there spacing the floor. Mirotic, that's unconscious shooter. They needed that in Milwaukee. So a big up for them. I'm also excited for Stanley to get to go play, with the Pelicans. They strap up on defense. I think he fits well with Drew. It's a good trade both ways for both teams.
Something of an arms race in the Eastern Conference. So Milwaukee makes their move. Toronto made a move today. Marc Gasol going to be a member of that really good Raptors team. What do you think of that fit?
He's interesting. Offensively, it definitely helps him because he can do many things, on the court as far as, facilitating. He's a great passer. A veteran guy in the locker room that's been in the playoffs many a times. And, somebody that's been in the West for so long going to the East, man, it's a different type of beast. It's like two different styles of playing the East and the West. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Defensively, they're losing a lot, losing Valanciunas because he was the anchor to that defense back there. But since they have Kawhi, they can kind of give up Valanciunas, so he makes it more expendable. But I'm looking forward to see how that plays well with Marc Gasol there in Toronto. But like I said, he's great on offense, and he's been good in the playoffs.
And the third deal in the Eastern Conference that, could be significant is the one that happened the last few days. Tobias Harris going from the Clippers to Philly. And this is not a shot, Aaron, at all at Harris. I think he's a really good player. Just to me, struck me as a lot to pay for that particular guy. Not sure about the fit. Do you like the fit? What do you make of the Sixers as they're constructed now?
They're looking for shooters and players, They're not too concerned about positions. They're trying to get six guys that can play, so I'm just that's a lot to spend on Tobias, but he's a guy that's proven that he can score the ball. He can shoot from the outside. He's hungry for that next deal. Jimmy's hungry for that next deal. You have a bunch of hungry guys trying to win, and hopefully it works out. You have a bunch of guys that don't really have particular positions, but they all know how to play basketball. So the coach has his job cut out for him. So we'll see how it all plays well together. But they're definitely going for it this year, and that's exciting to see. And it has to be exciting for the Philadelphia fans to see some kind of action or see them trying to go after their championship and pushing towards it instead of holding on to their picks.
Yeah, you brought up Jimmy Butler. You played with him in Minnesota last year. Obviously, Butler now a member of that Sixers team. And we've heard a lot of different things from reports publicly, some people I've talked to around the NBA, about Butler and how he maybe didn't fit with that Minnesota team. You know him. You play with him. How do you think he's going to fit as a leader, as a locker room guy in Philadelphia?
I think at the end of the day, Jimmy just wants to win. He challenged a couple guys in the locker room in Minnesota. Some responded, some folded. I think the stuff that came out in the media in the beginning of the season is not anything that was different that was happening when I was there, except for as reported. He's an aggressive personality, but a good dude, a good teammate. Definitely a guy that you want on the floor with him. And, he's trying to figure things out in Philadelphia. And, I think he's a competitor, and he's definitely going to be there. It might not show now, but when he gets to the playoffs, he's definitely going to be one of the pieces that help him push him to the top. So they have a bunch of pieces trying to put it all together. Ben Simmons is a different style of point guard that they have to get used to playing with the big fella. So all of it, putting it together, is going to be tough. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in the playoffs as well.
It's really fun. The Eastern Conference has some really good basketball teams. The Celtics, we've got a Philly team that now has Harris. We talked about Toronto and the addition of Gasol. We talked about Milwaukee and bringing in Mirotic. Three of those teams look a lot different than they did a week ago. For your money, Aaron, which of those four teams do you think now has the edge in the Eastern Conference, now that we know what they actually look like?
That's tough. Tough decision. I like Milwaukee. I like what they did. It might not be the most appealing trade as far as getting Nico. I think that fits the best right now for them as far as how they've been playing and going forward. I think he'll fit in perfect. The 76ers is still a question mark because there's so many different pieces coming in, and nobody really has a defined position. I think it depends on how Tobias shoots it, how well JJ shoots it, and how well Jimmy shoots it, because they need some shooting from the outside. I think that is most important for them. So I'm gonna have to go with Milwaukee, 76ers, Toronto, and then the rest. So those are my picks as far as
It's nice.
the deadline.
I love it. It's nice to have some good teams in the Eastern Conference to talk about. Philly, we've talked about. Markelle Fultz has become an afterthought, even though not that long ago the number one overall pick in the draft. He got traded today as well. He's going to Orlando. If memory serves, you were the most improved player in 2009, I think it was. So you know something about the ups and downs of an NBA career. What can a new start, a fresh start, hopefully look like for a guy like Fultz, who's got talent, but has had some very public struggles with his shot and with his game?
Oh, man, hopefully it's just a breath of fresh air for him. I know he's been through a lot at 76ers. He has some ties to Washington. So, a couple guys been watching his career closely. I have been too. And, just hopefully he finds it, man. He's a good kid, and, he's been going through a lot. And, I hope mentally, man, the game is so much mental. I hope that he just clears his mind and has a free start and go out there in Orlando and shows what he can do, because he definitely has the talent. So, they need a point guard to come in there and take over the franchise, man. This is another start for him.
All right, Iman Shumpert is now a member of the Rockets. They need defense. They lost Mbah Moute and Trevor Ariza from last year's team that almost made the finals. I know it's not a blockbuster trade, but do you think it's enough to get Houston back to where at least they were last year, which is a Western Conference Finals contending team?
I think Houston lost a lot with Trevor Ariza letting him go. And I think Iman Shumpert comes from that type, just a guy that's going to strap up, doesn't need the ball, and shoots a decent percentage wide open. And you're going to have a bunch of wide open shots with James Harden, penetrating and, finding people. So I think he fits perfect. Iman Shumpert, he straps up. He has that playoff experience. He's been there. He's not afraid to play against the Warriors and, all these top teams that's there, and he's ready to lock up. So I think this is a great position for him. And in Houston, great deal. It's kind of like the Nico deal.
Yeah, that's cool. Aaron, we're looking forward to your agent getting that call, you getting back out there, playing for one of those teams smart enough to give you a shot. We appreciate you being on the show and love getting a look inside the man cave, man. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, man. Anytime. And if anybody needs a point guard veteran, I'm here. 10 days are available.
Aaron Brooks is out there. That's why I wish the AD trade had gone through, because then no one would have been left in the Lakers. Aaron would have been a nice fit with that organization. If I had a man cave like that with my cool shoes, it'd be like maybe two pairs of shoes. That was really cool, really awesome. Speaking of cool and awesome, we've got this dating app that we apply to sports topics, and it's called Date Swipe. A lot of new NFL head coaches. The carousel of hiring has been completed in the last few days, and we're going to get into some date swiping with those coaches we're buying and those we don't want to go near when we come back to Reiter's Block here on CBS Sports HQ in just a moment. All right, welcome back to New York City. Bill Reiter with you. Thanks for being here. You know what date swipe is. Well, you probably know better than I do. I'm married. But we also developed a date swipe for sports, and we're going to break it out to try to find true love in the world of the coaching carousel that just ended with the last few hires around the league that were open being made official. Let's see if we can find NFL head coaching love in NFL head coaching date swipe. All right, this is so much pressure. I mean, it's the first one. We start with Zach Taylor, new head coach in Cincinnati. A young guy, right? Like, youth is supposed to be an important part of this process. And his profile, as you can see, says, I like to lay by the bay and talk about Sean McVay. Who doesn't? But that doesn't make you a catch. What are you doing, Bengals? This is the easiest swipe left in the history of sports dating apps. Don't go anywhere near my Chicago Bears. That is not going to work. So, all right, so there's a lot of youth coming up, but it's nice to see a silver-haired fox, at least with the goatee. Bruce Arians, formerly a colleague here at CBS Sports. I just saw a 66-year-old chew up and spit out Sean McVay. I'll do the same. You're speaking my language. When it comes to dating the coaches out there, I want to be part of my organization. Experience absolutely matters. Bruce Arians, come on down. We'll have a beer and talk offensive ingenuity. I'm excited. Brian Flores, I want to believe, I mean, from a really good family, that Belichick family, right? Just good football people. And I like the pitch. I'm not a player. I'm a play caller. The problem is, Brian, that I've had a lot of friends who have invested in former Bill Belichick assistants before. Heartbroken, Detroit still is. They're still stuck with Patricia. That divorce isn't formalized yet. So, swiping left, please. Yeah, good luck down there. Good luck, Miami. Have fun. Matt LaFleur, this is a tough one. I mean, on the one hand, like long walks on the beach, while we talk Sean McVay, everybody's got McVay in their profile, right? I get it. That's, if you want shook McVay's hand, you're a candidate for a job. You're under 40. I mean, look, it's a really impressive resume for football romance, running the 25th best offense with the Titans, but he does have Aaron Rodgers. I kind of want to be optimistic. I got to go out with somebody on this date swipe thing, so tentative swipe right, where you swipe right and then you realize you probably shouldn't have, but what's done is done. We'll see how it goes. Vic Fangio, I love it. I'm old, but give me a kicker. I'm good to go no matter the case. You're old, been around, Bears defense. I'm a contrarian. This is different. You're older and you're a defensive guy. I'm in. Let's talk some Khalil Mack in the glory days of last year. Cliff Kingsbury, right? Super dreamy. Matthew McConaughey sort of meets football coaches. Have I mentioned that I'm friends with Sean McVay? Yeah, and so did the Arizona Cardinals, literally in your introductory press conference and announcement. What are you doing? Cliff once met Sean McVay at a party and we hired him. Left. No. Heartbreaker. Charming heartbreaker. Adam Gase, this one's tough too. He'll make eyes for anyone. Get it tonight joke from his press conference. I promise to look at you the same way I look at reporters at a press conference. Oh, he made the same joke. Hell no. It's not going to work, New York. Get out of here. Freddie Kitchens, right? Nice guys, always finish last. Not here on Writer's Block. What do bakers need most? Kitchens. Yeah. Oh, Freddie, you're so clever. And I think it's going to work in Cleveland. And happy people work. Swipe right. We like puns, as you might imagine, here on Writer's Block. That was great. Man, that Freddie Kitchens is so funny. Who do bakers need? Kitchens? True love. I'm in. All right, we'll see you here on the show tomorrow. In fact, I'll see you here on CBS Sports HQ in about 30 seconds. Tommy Tran's taking over. I'm going to stick around and hang out with Tommy for a couple minutes, talk a little NBA trade deadline. Eric Casillas has got you covered on Sportsline in 30 minutes. Hanging out, talking sports, making you some money. It all continues on your home for streaming sports right now.